If you're feeling stuck, bored, or disengaged with your job, then this video is for you. If you've been trying to fix these feelings on your own and nothing is seeming to work, now you're probably starting to feel stuck. I'm going to show you the real mistake people are making when they feel stuck and why everything you're trying is not working. Feeling stuck day to day looks like you have a good job, but you are just not feeling it. Your energy is super low. You can't figure out why. You can't put your finger on it, but you're super disengaged. You're doing your work. Think you're keeping up the facade, but deep down, you know you're just not feeling it. You know you need to do something, but you don't know what. So in my last video, I shared that most people, when they start to feel stuck like this at work, their initial solution is to quit their job or to find something else to do. And they're hoping that making a move like that will change how they feel. And some of the things that people are doing to try to resolve how they feel is they're saying things like, I just need a better job, or I need a reset, or I need a vacation, or I need to change cities. I need new friends. I mean, people make all sorts of assertions about how they can change how they feel. And one thing I noticed about most of those solutions is that they are all simply a quick fix. They do not really get to the root of the issue. They do not resolve why you're feeling the way you feel. And they most importantly don't give you an answer about what can I do in lieu of quitting my job or making some major change and shift in my life right now. And I think the mistake that most of us make is that, growing up, you go to school, you get a job, all that education we get, no one has taught us how to deal with our emotions. And so we try to resolve emotional issues the same way we try to resolve everything else. You got a money issue, you go to get a job. Um, you break a leg, you go get a cast on it. You know what I mean? Since we're so used to putting band-aids on our issues, we have lost the art of dealing with our emotions and fixing our emotions. And the stakes are incredibly high when you have some bubbling up emotions about your career or your job or however you feed yourself and make money day to day, and you don't know how to resolve it. And you resort to some quick band-aid or some quick fix. And for a lot of people, that looks like quitting the job or doing, going and starting a business or, something that can be considered knee jerk if it's not, really considered properly. But for most people, I think that is the underlying issue, that there's so many people who are unhappy in their career. They feel stuck, they feel downtrodden, and they have no idea how to deal with the emotions. So they deal with it the way they deal with everything else. And it's like, I need to do something to take this feeling away urgently, quickly, as fast as possible. But what people fail to realize is that your emotions are not like a cut. It's not, you can't put the Band-Aid on in the ointment and it'll go right away. And so in order to fix your emotions, first you have to come to grips with them. And you have to realize that your emotions actually have nothing to do with your ability to provide for yourself. And that you have to separate the two. You have to separate the feelings from the facts. And instead of trying to fix your emotions, you have to fix your position. For me, I wanted to quit my six-figure job to follow my passion. I know it sounds crazy. But back then, the internet was telling everybody that the reason you felt unhappy in your job was because you didn't run your own business and you weren't your own boss. I was working in plants, I was going to visit clients, and I legitimately didn't have time to focus on building my own thing. And so I can sympathize with how people could feel like I'm going into work every single day. I don't have time, or I haven't figured out how to make time for myself and to do the things that I want to do. But instead of quitting my job, I just redirected my position. Maybe I need to find a job where I can have more freedom and more flexibility and more leverage over my time. And that's exactly what I did. And it seemed to work for me. It was a nice way to keep those emotions and those feelings of being stuck at bay. And so instead of quitting and opting out of corporate altogether, I started looking for consultant type jobs where I didn't have to go in the office every day. I didn't go to the same place every day. It didn't feel like Groundhog's Day. So that's how I fixed my position. And I think if I hadn't really sat with that, I might have made a huge mistake. I think the pattern I've been seeing, having been in corporate for as many years as I have, is that the quickest fix that people are trying to put in place is to fix their environment, change the environment, change everything outside of me. When the reality is that instead of changing what's outside of you, you need to change you. Engineering is a very acquired taste. I mean, the environment can be stale. It's not a very fun environment. It's not sales. It's not marketing. It's not meeting exciting clients. It's not these fun launch events or anything like that. the boring work. So I do have some classmates who quit their engineering roles early on looking for comfort, and they didn't realize that they were really just trading something hard for something harder. So I think the big three quick fixes that people try to put in place when they first feel stuck are either quitting your job or over consuming content or thinking and planning on doing something, but never actually taking the leap. And I already addressed why you should quit your job. The over consuming of the content, because there is so much content out, you can fool yourself into feeling better by consuming content, learning something, trying to plan something, looking off into the future. And that is also just another Band-Aid. I think about the people who consume content for years and years and never make a purchase. They never contact a real estate agent. They never even do any of the things that could actually lead to where they say they want to go. And that's because they're making themselves feel better by continuing to soak up the content. And it makes you feel like you're in action, but you're really just using a different Band-Aid method. So when you're feeling stuck, if you don't figure out how to change you will only continue to lose time, money, and momentum because you keep bouncing around from thing to thing. You keep using Band-Aid upon Band-Aid, and none of them are actually getting to the root of what the problem is. You start to become like this professional resetter, right? Every 1 to 3 years, you're starting something new, maybe a new career, a new business. You lose all the momentum that you've been gaining by taking action, and you just stay dependent. The one thing you're trying to run from is your job, and now you're really going to be dependent on it forever because you're not gaining any momentum. You keep wasting money on courses and things that you're not taking action on. You keep wasting time. You keep looking for motivation when motivation isn't the thing that'll get you out of being stuck. It's really momentum. And so for me lately, what's really been driving that home about how important momentum is I was looking at some financial information about growing stock accounts and making money grow. And I came across some interesting information about if you deposit $1,000 every month into an index fund, it can be anywhere between, at 20 years, it can be around $700,000. And at 25 years, it can be as much as $1.3 million. And so while $1,000 a month may not be easy to come by, it's a concrete figure that if you just continue to invest it's something big in 20 to 25 years. And I think when you're feeling stuck, you kind of have to look at your time and look at your energy in that same aspect as you do your money. So if you instead of being stuck in your job and bouncing around and going from Band-Aid to Band-Aid, what would happen if you actually invested your money and you were consistent with it? What would actually happen if you were consistent with the energy and with the time that you put toward building something of your own or towards something more long-term? I think the biggest takeaway is that our feelings are temporary and you don't want to make any permanent decisions based on your feelings, but you also don't want to bounce around putting Band-Aids on things either. I think you really want to figure out what you're obsessed with. What won't go away? And for me, like real estate, it just wouldn't go away. I started, I got my real estate license fresh out of college, and the idea of investing, it just never went away for me. So I knew I had to see it through. I've also been very interested in stock investing from day one of getting a job. So I'm really encouraging people who feel stuck in whatever it is that turn your attention to something that won't go away from you. Put your time, energy, and money into that and watch that momentum help alleviate the feeling of stuckness. And so I think that if you're feeling stuck, looking externally may not solve your issue. You really have to look internally. What can I change? What can I change about me? When I said instead of changing your environment, change you, what parts of you can you change? Where can you start to be more consistent, honor your time better, honor your money better, so that you can start to change the way you feel long term? And then you're also building the skill and the muscle of how do I actually manage my emotions and how do I change the way I feel? Because an outside solution typically can't resolve an inside feeling. And I think when people are feeling stuck in their careers and they're feeling just stuck in life in general, they don't really consider that there's something internally that I need to change. Our first reaction is to look outside of us and figure out What can I quickly put into place to make this feeling go away? For most people, your job is where you spend the most time and it takes the most energy out of you. And so you focus on that the most. But that's one thing I want you to actively do is stop focusing solely, like hyper focusing on your job dissatisfaction and how it's making you feel, and start taking a both and approach. I have to work this job and I'm going to manage my feelings, and I'm going to do something internally to help me alleviate that feeling of stuckness. So what are you building and what are you creating that you can be proud of, that something that gives you a happy feeling, something that is the opposite impact of how you're feeling in your job or possibly in life right now? And I think it's important to understand that if you keep trying to fix how you feel without changing what you're building, you're going to keep ending up in the exact same place. I make videos for high functioning knowledge workers who are looking to build outside of corporate. You can find me on Substack at Confidence is Cash, and you can follow me on the Prompt Life podcast here on YouTube to learn how I use AI to do all of the things to maintain corporate, to maintain my passion projects, and to get myself unstuck. That's all I got for you guys this week.